Well, hello folks, it's Mr. Pete again, your YouTube shop teacher, and here with a little problem today. I just bought this angle plate at an auction along with a bunch of other stuff, and it's a bit rusty, so let's see if I can restore this or do a Peterson quality restoration on this. No surface grinding involved, but we'll use a little evaporust and see how that works. So let's start. This video actually will be filmed over 2 or 3 days because this needs some time to work. These small angle plates are real handy on both the milling machine and the drill press and for layout. So it's kind of a nice cast iron one. I do not know if it was a super precision one to start with. I kind of doubt it. But as you can see, it is 4 inches long and about 2.5 high. Similar in size to this genuine South Bend angle plate that I have had since time immemorial. Maybe this will even get a paint job. Nah. Well, here's that South Bend angle plate in the 1955 South Bend catalog, and it was $11 at that time, which was probably equal to about $60 right now. My mother taught me that when I'm doing something messy, lay newspapers down. Well, now we no longer have newspapers. No problemo. One of my wife's bath towels, and then also some of her Tupperware, because I noticed that I think this is a 1/4 that just about fits in there. Yeah, not really. But it's going to have to do. At some point I'll flip this upside down. Remember, this is going to sit in there overnight, so I think this was $15. Forgot where I bought it. And it's going to take all of it, I believe. If I was ABAM, I'd have a big water trough full of this. Now, wouldn't I? Oh. Just right. You know, I was planning ahead. If I didn't have enough of this, I was going to stick a piece of Delron down in there as a displacer, but it does fit. So I'm going to take a little brush right now and brush that on the top, and then you're not going to see anything in here even after I flip it over until tomorrow when I'm done and we take it out and start to clean it up. So I'll see you in 24 hours. Well, it's only been 4 minutes and I'm back. I don't like this idea of half of it sticking out, or 10% of it actually, so went back up into the cupboard while my wife was watching Wheel of Fortune and borrowed another one. Let's see if it'll fit in here. Ah, that's more like it, and boy, it came right up to the end. Well, I'll throw that in the dishwasher and she won't know any different. Okay, it's 24 hours later. I think the evaporust is done working. Let me take it out, and I'm going to go over to the sink and scrub it off with hot water. And this I will put back in the jug, clean the Tupperware a little bit, and then put it back in the cupboard, hoping that our next batch of chicken salad doesn't have an aftertaste of evaporust. Let's go over to the sink. Okay, this is hot water. Scrub it a little bit. And then a once over with a Scotch-Brite. And I'll do a little more of that off camera. Looking pretty good. And then I'll blow this off, dry it off, and immediately put a little bit of oil on there to try to prevent flash rusting. Well, it looks remarkably good. The evaporust did a good job. There is pitting down here, but of course, the only way to get that out is to surface grind it, which I'm not going to do. a bit of a mar there. Somebody hit it with a cutter decades ago, I'm sure. These two holes were probably drilled as part of a fixture. I don't know that for sure. Probably would look better with a coat of gray paint on there, but not for now anyway. So I'm pretty satisfied with the results of this. Now some of you are going to say, well, why don't you just take it to the wire wheel? Well, I did that for 45 years with wire wheels, and it always works pretty good, but you know, this is like a hired hand. You can just go upstairs and watch reruns of Gilligan's Island while it's working and you're resting. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, since I do not have a surface grinder, I'm just going to take a little real fine abrasive, perhaps a 500, and lay it on a flat surface and rub it a little bit on all of the machine surfaces. I have not oiled it yet, and it is subject to flash rust. But if I get flash rust, guess what? I'll put it back in that. Here's a brand new sheet of 320 wet or dry, and perhaps I should do this with water. Well, here it is after being sanded very lightly, as I just shown you. And if anything, it actually looks worse because it really highlights the pitting. Again, nothing can be done about that other than to throw it away or to surface grind it. Now that's not going to happen, and it's certainly good enough for any general shop purposes like on the drill press or milling machine, or even a little bit of work holding while we're doing inspecting. And speaking of inspecting, let's see how accurate this is. Now granted, what I'm doing now is going to go against the grain for you metrologists, but remember, I'm just in a home shop here with a grizzly surface plate. However, this angle plate here is a Taft Pierce, which is extremely high quality. If I can find the name on it. Yeah, there it is. Again, this came from the great Westclox building. So, although this probably isn't laboratory grade, I would suspect that it is inspection grade, and I don't believe it was ever used because you can still see marks from the packing grease and wax paper from 80 years ago. So, let's do this. And the plate here is a little bit too small, so I'm going to have a hangover. But I'm going to take a C-clamp, clean everything properly, C-clamp it on there, and we'll check it with an indicator to see how square it is and how accurately it's ground here, that is, how flat it is from this point to this point. Hope it's fairly close. You know, it's not going to be perfect. It can't be. And that's also assuming a lot here. It's assuming that this Taft Pierce block is perfectly square, and it probably is, or very, very close, but I have no way of verifying that, so I'll be right back. Okay, it looks something like that. I like that handle, don't you? It was hard to pull off there, almost like I had a little bit of suction. I always make sure everything is clean and that this is tapped down, clamped, and here we have a surface gauge with a last word indicator. That has to go down about like that. And I will zero out right there. Okay, I'm on zero. I'm less than a half-thousandth off. And right on there. And then checking it this way, again I'm on zero. And at that point, just a little bit over a 1,000th. In other words, 1,000 from there to there. And that could be combined inaccuracies of both the Taft-Pierce plate and this plate. We will never know, nor does it matter, because it's really very close, isn't it? And certainly close enough for any of our general purposes. So I'm pleased with this little plate, and it was worth the $2. Well, there it is. What do you think? It could use a coat of paint and a surface grinding, but looks pretty good. It tests out just fine, so on the shelf it goes until my next job. This is Mr. Pete saying so long for now. I hope you enjoyed the video.